happening. Can you hear the audio?
The evolution from the first PI planning a year ago to the PI planning that we're in now, which is PI 6, has changed dramatically. Both enjoyable experiences, but everybody kind of running around like headless chickens, quite nervous in that first PI. And now we seem to be like a well-oiled engine.
It's been probably the most fundamental change for our commercial teams. Commercial teams never had the opportunities to get in front of the engineers. There was always multiple layers in between there. Having this process where every 10 weeks we got a business owner saying, hey, thank you team for what you delivered last time. Here's what it drove. And hey, here's what we're hearing from our customers about what we need. This is why it's a priority. And when we actually deliver this, here's the value that it's going to drive to them and us.
The teams are so much more confident in their planning. We do things a lot earlier. We collaborate more effectively across the teams and across product management and the dev teams, so that when we come into PI planning, the teams have a good idea of what they're going to take on in their individual teams. We had our business owners come to us and say, look, I know that we have all these commitments, but one of our primary customers has asked us to make a change. We said, okay, what are we taking off the plate of the teams? Because we can't do it all. And SAFe tells us we can't do it all. They agreed that there was work that could be removed. We went back to the teams. And when we told the teams, A, you're going to get started on this, go ahead, we're good to go. B, you're going to remove X off of your plate. They looked at us and they were like, wait, what? We don't have to do it all? The team was able to deliver the new requirement in less time than they had estimated it. And they didn't have to work overtime, and they didn't have to work long hours. And the success of that and how it motivated the team and the appreciation that they felt at having been heard and understood was off the charts, and it was amazing.
Okay, so this was a small promotion for PI planning meeting. Now we start. Yeah. So the topic, you understand what is PI and all. So I'm not repeating my Jamboard diagram because I have been talking about it for a while. So let's move. So PI planning. So planning interval planning. So planning interval planning is a cadence-based event. So which means it's a repetitive event which happens at a regular frequency. If you are following the PI length of 10 weeks, it happens once in a 10 weeks. Yeah. And it is like a heartbeat for agile release train because it pumps the requirement to the whole agile release train. It aligns the complete agile release train to a common mission alignment, which was SAFe value as well. So we achieve alignment by doing PI planning meeting. It's a 2 days event by default. So in a practical word, if you are doing virtual team planning meetings, it might be a 4 half-day meeting. It could be a 5 half-day meetings also. But for an explanation purpose, generally by default, we are saying it's a 2 days inside the PI planning meeting, PI innovation and planning iteration. So it's a 2 days planning meeting, default duration. Every 8 to 12 weeks, depending upon the planning interval duration, we do these 2 days of PI planning meeting. Everyone should attend, which means the complete agile release train, including their key stakeholder, business owners, whatever you learn in the lesson 3, all the roles, release train engineer and all, and the agile teams, scrum master, product owner, system teams, everyone on the agile release train is a part of PI planning meeting. The product management talks about the features. So you have learned in our previous class, product management was closely working with the business owners, product owners, system architect to refine the features, identify them, add acceptance criteria to it using the agile release train Kanban board, and then finally they were putting in into the ART backlog and they prioritize it with the help of WHJF. So they should come the prioritize features which are coming out of that particular ART backlog. So product management talks about feature priorities. Development team is expected to do story level planning and high level estimation. As we learned before coming to the PI planning meeting also, the tentative allocation of the feature happens to different team. Each team is expected to do their own research before coming to the PI planning meeting. They do some level of estimation. If needed, they can revisit that estimation based on the new information available during the PI planning meeting. Based on their story level estimation, they will come up with the agreement how much they can do in upcoming PI. So the features will get divided into user story, most likely around 60% before the PI planning meeting. Maybe some level of refinement happens during the PI planning meeting. Finally, 10-20% refinement can happen continuously during the PI as well, but the teams are expected to do high level estimation using story points so that they can understand how much they can do in a given PI. The architect, UX people, or a support people, or some enablement team, they work as an integration group. Intermediary, they provide details about what should be done, what are the good practices, they resolve the dependency, they provide common guidance so that everybody is planning towards the same or a common technical or a UX goal. So that's the high level thing about PI planning meeting. Now, if I see as a top level things, why should we do a PI planning meeting? So the idea, as we learned on the day one, daily interaction between business people and developers may not be scalable. We learned that principle number 4, and I said may not work in the scaled environment. But at the same time, we need to have some approach where business people, not just product owner, business people and development team get some interaction and they understand each other. So it creates a communication platform for business people to see the technical issues, the technical people to understand business problems, and it creates a collaborative environment. And that was the goal of creating a different operating system which was value stream aligned, the ART, agile release trains. So it established a good communication across all team members and stakeholders. It also ensures that everybody get a common picture. Rather than teams only focusing on, I need to finish these many user stories, they understand what is the common objective of the whole PI or the coming planning interval, or what is the common objective of complete agile release train. So they understand the overall requirement, the overall goal, and maybe they also understand the complete goal for upcoming planning interval. This is the place where we also identify interdependencies. There is a possibility some dependency may get discovered later on, but at this point in time, based on what we need to do, let's do an integrated planning rather than people are only planning their portion, because integration required handling and identification of dependency. So it's a good platform to provide a common platform so that people can talk about dependencies. It's a good place to talk about architectural guidelines, UX guideline, coding standards, quality approaches which we are expected to take in the upcoming PI. This is also a place, principle 6, to limit the demand and capacity, because we are only committing, we keep the work in progress limit to a level where we believe we can achieve it. So we are not taking more than what team believes they can achieve it. There could be a deviation later on also, but we are doing our best judgment to limit the work in progress by taking only the work which we can do in the upcoming PI. So it helps us in doing managing the demand and capacity. The finally, fast decision making. Now, all the above, managing demand and capacity, taking care of dependency, taking care of common objectives, may have a lot of challenges. Some teams may can do more work, but other teams may have a less work. So we need to do some adjustments. Since everybody is present in a PI planning meeting, it works as a fast decision making platform where we take calls. Call could be that sometime we may remove some feature, we may redistribute feature from one team to another team, we may change some technological things. Because everybody is here, we need to make a joint plan for upcoming PI. So it helps us in having fast decision making as well. So that's the high level idea of doing PI planning meeting. Yeah, I take this slide also, and then I take a quick pause. So as I hope you all understand by now, at a super high level, we can say the PI planning meeting is taking an input of ART level backlog, which has a features and enablers in it. And as an output of a PI planning meeting, the teams pick up the work from here. Yeah, so the one team will say, okay, I am going to do this feature, guys. Yeah, this is a feature 1 which is going to me. Somebody will say, oh, I am doing this enabler and this feature. Yeah, this is going to me. So as a result of PI planning meeting, for the upcoming planning interval, you can say 10 weeks time, what work we are going to do as a one team, we identify that as a goal level and we call it PI objective. So all the teams on the agile release train has a clear PI objective as a result of PI planning meeting. Now this thing you see, We call it ART planning board. We will explain it and look into it in detail. But this is like we have an interdependency diagram as well. So as a result of a PI planning meeting, each team knows what they have to do, and they also know how the dependencies will be taken care during this planning interval to ensure that we achieve what we are expected to achieve. So like in iteration 1, I am expected to get that API. In iteration 2, I need to give some particular API to someone else. So all those things are also get planned inside the PI planning meeting. How it happens, we are going to see and even simulate part of it in the upcoming 1 hour. Yeah. Any question till here before I explain the detail about what Srinivas has asked, committed and uncommitted objectives?
Sorry, Saket. So ideally in the PI planning, they map also the dependencies and based on the dependencies, they plan at which iteration each feature or how the stories have to be split, right? That's how they do it.
Perfect. Yes, yes. That's what we will see as well in detail. Yes. Yeah. Good. So now Srinivas questions. What is committed and uncommitted PI objective? They will come little here, but first I need to introduce what is PI objective. So in a way, we need to make our business level goal for upcoming PI. So like we have a sprint goal for a Scrum team for an upcoming sprint, on the same line, we want to make a PI objective for a one agile team for upcoming PI. That is called PI objective. Now, mostly 90% of the time, they are the items which are coming from the future. So I have a ART backlog. ART backlog has a feature and enabler. I will say I will do this feature, yeah, in a way, and I can explain the business language of that feature. That becomes my PI objective. Simple, yeah. So often the PI objectives are directly mapped to the feature or enabler in the ART backlog. There could be some exception. Sometimes you may want to summarize few features and say one objective only. Rarely you will do, but technically that's possible. Sometimes you may have a technical milestone. Say you may want to give investor demo, you may have a commercial release, you may have a test release, and it's a significant event. That may also become a PI objective. So I would say this is something which we need to keep in mind. There could be a big event. Say you may want to participate in a trade show, or you may want to give a big demo to your partners or investors, which is not a part of ART backlog. It's an event. Those events will also become objective for few agile teams. Maybe objective means we need to make the demo successful. We need to do a preparation for the demo, reserve some capacity for the demo, and that will be our objective for upcoming PI. So there could be some events which may become a PI objective. Other than features, enablers can also become a PI objective. Now, point to be kept in mind here is, I go previous slide just to make it clear a little more, and we will practice it more. We get these features, team look at the user stories of these features. They divide it, and then they plan their 4 iterations using the user stories. Yeah, that's the plan. But they are not making commitment for this plan. This plan is made for understanding how much we can do. The commitment is only made, oh, we will do this feature. Yeah. So the PI objective is not the list of user stories which team is going to do in upcoming PI. Yeah, but the PI objective can only be made or can only be committed when we know the list of the user story which are going to be executed by a given agile team, and that's the process we will learn. But at the end of this due diligence, where we divide the features into user stories, we look at our velocity, we distribute our stories into different iterations, and we see, okay, guys, this much we can do it, and let's say this feature we can commit to. Then again, we come at a high level and we make a commitment at ART backlog level, which we call PI objective, not at a team backlog level, because team backlog is expected to evolve as we go inside the program planning interval. Yeah. So that's the first information. Second, what is PI objective? It's 90% matching to the ART backlog item. There could be exception like some enablers, refactoring thing, or some kind of milestones or events. They may also be considered as a PI objective. Each team will have their own PI objective, and we can aggregate all teams' objective and create an agile release train level PI objectives also expected to be there. Yeah. Now, uncommitted objective and committed objective. So there is something tricky here. Yeah. So safe kicks in. Any question till here? Because now I'm going into a little complication. Till here, things should be simple.
Okay, so objectives is very clear, and you said the only term committed is that we will deliver these features.
We'll talk about committed and uncommitted. Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Other than that, if anything is not clear, then we can clarify. As committed and uncommitted, I'm talking. Yeah. Okay. All good till here, I hope. So if you remember, we had one principle number 3, if I'm not wrong, assume variability, preserve option. We spoke about set-based design, we spoke about planning contingencies, and we said, things can go wrong and we need to still create predictability for it. So when things can go wrong and we have less confidence in some feature, how do we communicate to the rest of the group that, guys, this thing can go wrong? I'm not very sure about it. So Saif is saying, when you are making your PI commitments, a particular agile team, assuming you are picking up 4 features, yeah, say 1, 2, 3, 4, and as per your capacity, all 4 can be done. Probably you have 100 story point capacity available. Maybe your velocity is 25 story point per iteration, and you have 100 story point. Assuming all features are 25, you feel that you can do all these features. That's perfectly okay, and that's why you are planning to them. But the feature number 4 is something involves a technology which you have never worked on. So even though you have estimated it, but your confidence level is little low in that. So what you will do, how do you communicate that? So Saif is saying you can communicate by using a technique. You can say these 3 features are high confidence. This feature is low confidence. The high confidence I call committed. The low confidence I call uncommitted. So what does it mean? Uncommitted, my stakeholders, please remain doubtful about it. There is more expectation of variability there. Committed one, stakeholder feels more confident about it. There is a highly likelihood that we will deliver these 3 because we are confident about it. So if I am a business stakeholder and I am making commitment to my customers, I probably will not talk about feature 4. I say, no, feature 4, though it is coming, but I don't want to commit to that because teams were not very sure about it. And we want to discuss in the group, if someone has a reservation about it, see if someone can help us in increasing the confidence level, we can resolve it here. All 100 people are available here. So from a Saif perspective, it's a tool available. If you say you have a high confidence on all 4, don't use uncommitted. Nobody's forcing you to use uncommitted. But if you have any situation like this, then you can use a terminology or a tool called uncommitted. Now, another important thing to see is it's a part of your 100 story point. It is not like you have a capacity to do 100 and you have put 30 story point or 20 story point feature more and you are saying this is uncommitted. Not like that. So it's a part of your planning. If everything goes well, you should be finishing committed and uncommitted. That's how you are estimating. But in case something goes wrong, the uncommitted may get sacrificed. Yeah, so that's a slicing or a categorization in a safe word on your PI objective. I read the slide and then probably if you have any questions still, we can clarify it. So we are saying uncommitted objective help us in improving predictability of delivering business value for the area which is getting committed. That becomes more predictable. So stakeholders get what they are looking at. Uncommitted objectives are planned. They are not like just in case you guys have time, do this one also. No, they are planned. They are not extra thing, but they are not included in the commitment to make the committed part more reliable. So which means the 3 features are more reliable. If the team has a low confidence in meeting a PI objective because of whatever reason, because of technology, because of uncertainty, they can move that in an uncommitted section and you are doing it publicly in front of everyone and you are open to discuss it. That's the objective of having it in a PI planning meeting. If you have lots of unknown, you probably want to do in the early iterations to check, and we also want to communicate, guys, uncommitted one will come or not. Yeah. So it was uncertain in the PI planning meeting. Maybe in a first iteration, you can do some explanation and find out and communicate back how likely this particular thing is going to come or not. Now, for all practical purposes, like if I have a stories which are coming from uncommitted features, do I give a story point to them? Yes. Do they get counted in my velocity if I finish those user stories? Yes. Do they also get into my planned capacity if I have a 25 story points, if I'm putting those stories also? Yes. So there is no difference when it comes to planning or of a user stories and velocity for committed and uncommitted. The only difference is from stakeholder perspective, it is uncommitted communicates uncertainty because of some underlying fact, and that's called committed and uncommitted PI objectives. So hopefully, Srinivas, this get resolved now. Yeah, so that's the thing. And we'll see and practice more. But if someone has something, we can clarify.
Thanks, Saket, for that. Now, when we are talking about the confidence, right, it is with respect to the what could be the parameters that comes under this this one? Is it only the technology? We are talking about the technology, or it could be based on the story points as well, right? Probably I might estimate it to be, say, my team velocity is 25. I am anticipating it to be 30, 35.
Then you don't commit. Then you don't commit. So that then it will anyway goes out. So say if there is a difference between your velocity and your size, it will be not part of uncommitted also. It is not there. It is out. Yeah. We need to resolve it. You can say I can't do it.
Consider is only the technology part.
Yeah. Now, because of technology part, because of experience level, maybe there is a possibility some feature was introduced during the PI planning meeting only. Other features you have analyzed before 1 week, you had done good research, but there was because of some business emergency, one feature got inserted in the PI planning meeting only. You can say, guys, looks okay, but we have not done any research. We are just doing planning based on this meeting only. So we better want to keep it in the uncommitted space because we don't know exactly how it will work because we have not done a due diligence. So it could be that kind of situation as well. Yeah. Maybe not technology uncertain, but you have not done it because it was introduced in the last minutes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And once we have, if I have taken one feature which is part of uncommitted one second, and the team has already done a lot of investigation, with the story points that has been allocated for them, but still, it is halfway through the investigation. So, what could be the next step?
I don't know. So we'll see. So we don't know. It's all about decision making by using SAFe principles. There is no default path. So we apply system thinking, we apply economic decision making, the release train engineer facilitate the conversation, and we should be discussing it every week, and based on that we will decide. There is no path, there is no default path.
Okay. This feature probably it will not go back to that Kanban where it gets to that funnel from that funnel. No, it doesn't go like that.
We don't know. Depends. Yeah. So definitely it's already a refined feature. Yeah, it will either go into a program ART backlog, or it will get done, or it will get dropped if it is not useful, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Fine. I'm good.
Good.
So
committed. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, okay. Just one question from my side. Let's say based on this uncommitted, or let's say, can we term something? For example, an estimation has been done. Okay, based on we have some sample estimation, and based on it, we have already taken into consideration for this. Let's say PI interval. We have taken this particular feature. Okay, now while developing, we find out that this has more impediments, or let's say there are more technical impediments that we have considered from the time that we initially analyzed, right? Because, for example, we had an example where we were
just focus right now on a PI planning meeting these 2 days. Yeah.
Okay.
If you are realizing this problem here, then bring it here. But if you are talking about during PI execution, then we'll discuss. Anything can go wrong. Yeah. Any feature, committed, uncommitted, which you thought of 10 pointer may become a 100 pointer. Yeah. So we will have that case meetings here. We will talk about execution. We will have our execution. We will take care of it. As of now, if you believe it's a 100 pointer in these 2 days thing, you put it 100 pointer here.
Sorry, Saket. My question was that, okay, I put a 7 pointer, but later, let's say I'm not talking about execution. Later, I found out during the implementation is higher. So will I move this as an uncommitted objective,
That's what
or
I'm telling is what is later? Is it in a 2 days or it is after the 2 days?
after the 2 days?
After the 2 days, we'll discuss later. Yeah, we'll
Okay.
talk about that is called PI execution. So after 2 days, it's the PI execution when we are
Okay.
refining the feature, planning the feature in the iteration, and during that time, it may happen you may have planned 3 features, you can only do one. You may have
Okay.
challenge, your 50% team may disappear, anything can go wrong. So for all those things, we need to continuously interact and resolve it. But coming back to the PI planning meeting, if you realize that this was during half an hour ago, it was looking 50 points, half an hour later, it is looking 100 point, you put 100 point now and discuss
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Okay, right, got it. Right. Yeah.
So we got, understand, I think that's the simplest thing. Now,
Saket, sorry to interrupt. I have one more question about the committed and non-committed, uncommitted objectives. So we are in the PI planning, and we have say 10 seats, 10 teams sitting together. And in the agile world, I said there is never 100% confidence. There is always some ambiguity associated that is explored while we are working on it. So say 5%, 10% that is there. So now when we are in the PI planning for 2 days, and say team A and team B is there. So for team A objectives, suppose team got, okay, we are working on these items, these are our objectives. So a line is there. I believe there is one line which for the confidence, if we are above that confidence, this is under committed, and if below that confidence, it is non-committed, uncommitted. So for team A and team B, like how, like practically you might know, so how we identify what is the confidence level, like because for team
we'll
A,
see that. Yeah, that something is coming. As of now, we need to understand what is committed or what is uncommitted. After that, we need to review each team's schedule. We need to understand how the whole process works. That will take another 1 hour and it will be clear. Yeah, we are looking into the PI planning process.
okay.
Yes, I have one doubt.
Yeah.
Where we can take that stretch objective or stretch goal.
So that word is removed. So stretch has become uncommitted now. In a version 4, it was called stretch. In the version 5, it is called uncommitted. In version 6, it remained uncommitted. Fortunately, we have not changed the name here this time. Yes.
Okay.
So there is no stretch. This is here. So, how do we define that line and all? I will take Rakesh point as we go along. But one thing is important, which Rakesh was saying. We are not saying that we have 100% clarity. And even with committed and uncommitted, you may keep some capacity buffer. You may say we will only plan 80%. Now you should plan 80%, you should plan 60%, or you should plan 100%. That all depends upon your batch size, as we explained in Principle 6. When you have a small item, you can still go with high utilization and still remain predictable. If you have a big items, better you keep some buffers in your thing. If with the high items also you want to do with 100% utilization, then your predictability will be poor. So which means you may commit 10 features, you will only do a 7 features or 5 features, and it might be acceptable in some organization. It says it's okay, try 10. Yeah, even if you do 7, it's okay, but try 10. Don't say that I will do only 7. Yeah, that's the thing. But in a safe word, in general, by default, safe is saying, guys, if you can do 7, commit 6 only. Yeah, and keep 7th uncommitted. Don't try to do 10 because we want you to be extra conscious about it, because you say I will do and then tomorrow you will say I will not do and someone else has a dependency on you. That will create a big mess for us. So by default, intention of safe by default based on principles and all is more towards predictability. So they will say keep some contingencies, identify some uncommitted part, but make something so that whatever you commit, you really achieve it. Yeah, you keep something. That's the default style of safe way of working. But again, team can have their own approaches. Yeah. Okay. So that's the committed, uncommitted part. Now this we are getting into execution of a small simulation called PI planning. We'll do some draft PI plan preparation as well. So I will explain it in a different word. I have my own Jamboard to explain this whole idea little well. So I sent slide to you where we were having some GreekBooks.com, and they are doing like we are simulating as if we are doing PI planning meeting. So point which were coming like Rakesh saying, how do we the team knows it is confidence level low and a high? How do we have a visibility? Now, even like Logo was saying, how do we know this particular thing is really 100 point or 60 points? Maybe they change later on, that's a separate thing. But even during the PI planning meeting, how do we know you are putting 70 and is it right 70 or not? Somebody may have a review or a feedback on it. So we have a proper structure to ensure that we understand how each teams are doing their planning, and which leads to understanding of a overall PI objectives. So 2 days agenda. So I briefly describe the PI planning meeting agenda. Then we simulate some part of this PI planning meeting, and then we go into the details of PI planning meeting agenda item with the help of slides. We will spend another 1.5 hours to explain the PI planning meeting in detail. So as if we all of us are attending the PI planning meeting of a company named GreekBooks.com. So it's like everybody's here and planning to do a book selling website implementation. And release train engineer is here and giving us a briefing, because release train engineer is a default facilitator of PI planning meeting. Release train engineer should take help from Scrum Master to ensure that whole PI planning meeting runs well. The Scrum Master will take care of facilitation inside the team. The release train engineer will take care of facilitation of the whole PI planning meeting. So here release train engineer opens up and we are saying, introducing the agenda, that we are here to get an alignment and commitment towards the clear set of prioritized objective. And I'm your release train engineer, and let me show you how the PI planning meeting will work. Now, again, I want to point it out. This is a default agenda, which means first PI planning meeting, you better follow this agenda. Going forward, you may have your own customization. Nobody is saying that you must follow these steps only in order to do your PI planning meeting. Your PI planning meeting, you will discover it based on your own experience. But initially, first or two PI planning, maybe you follow exactly what SAFe is telling. So the release train engineer is showing that, guys, initially, we will get a big picture view. Our CEO will come and she will talk about what is expected from us as a business in a coming planning interval. Then we will have our product management, and they will come and talk about what are the features they are planning to get done in the upcoming planning interval. Then we have a system architect, and she will give introduction about various architectural guidelines. So as per this agenda, half day goes into listening. So I would say that, okay, there are 10 teams sitting and they are listening lectures. Lecture on business, lecture on requirement, and lecture on technology. Good, done. Now your time. What do? I will explain you what you have to do, but there will be a breakout rooms. So each team will go into their area and come up with refinement of their PI plan. And this activity is called draft PI plan preparation. So each team is expected to understand the features, identify the user stories, plan the user stories in the iteration, identify the risk, identify the dependency, identify which iteration you have a dependency, and come up with a committed and uncommitted PI objective, and should have a reasons for it. So we don't have a rule, but you need to plan it out. Maybe a particular train may have a rule. And whatever you plan, you need to present it to rest of us. So we will give you 3 hours to plan. And after that, every team will get 10-minute time to present their plan to rest. So you need to present that plan. Once you make the presentation, we will have a doubt. Oh, guys, too much uncommitted. Or guys, this should be done in a different way. Or you are not taking care of our dependency. Or Logo's point, you are estimating it too low. Yeah, as per my experience, maybe a different team, this work is going to take double. Yeah, so we give all those feedback based on what we are reviewing here, different teams, and all those feedbacks will get accumulated, compiled, and these feedback may result into a lot of problems as well. Looks like we can't finish this particular feature. Looks like this team required some technical assistance. Look like we need to do something about it. And that is something we call it management review and problem solving. So the day one finishes with first level presentation and analysis of various problems so that we can resolve them and we can fix them next day. We will go through these agenda item one by one. As of now, I'm just introducing the agenda for PI planning meeting. So once the day one gets over, so hopefully this is giving you some idea as well. The day two starts with planning adjustments. So maybe we got a new information, guys, this is more big than initially estimated. Or this is something you guys were doing uncommitted because you don't have a technical skill. We are giving this feature to another team, which can commit. because you guys are uncertain, but they are certain. We may do all those planning adjustment, or maybe we drop this feature. Maybe that Srinivas point looks like this is too exploratory. Maybe we remove the feature. We just keep some enablers here. Let's keep just enablers for exploration, and we'll decide about it in the next PI only. Put it back to a ART background. So anything. I am just giving example. It could be anything which got decided in the previous day, but this decision get communicated back to the agile release train. Guys, we are doing this, we are removing this feature, we are adding this feature, we are moving this feature from one team to another team based on our reasons. So we do that planning adjustments. Once that is done, again we send these guys to breakout rooms. Guys, refine your plan. Yeah, and same process. So they will present their plan, and hopefully with these 2 iteration, these plans should look good. We also look at a race. There is something called confidence vote, which we will see when we go there. And if anything is not working out, maybe after second iteration also, a lot of disagreements are there, we may go another loop of management review and problem solving, taking some decisions and going back to the breakout room. So we may repeat such cycles so that we can achieve to a final committable PI plan. Yeah, so that's a high level preparation. Now we will do this simulation, and I have a presentation which I shared with you already. I need to present as if we have a CEO and product management and architect available for greekbooks.com. And then we want to try it out how to do a team breakout session, which will give us a nice feeling about what possibly will get done in the PI planning meeting. Yeah. Any question before I start the greekbooks.com? Okay, so let's see, and hopefully the greekbooks.com